Oh my God.
Welcome back to a special edition of the Unofficial Commentators. Paki over here, JJ Nuevioch on the other side, and we have a very special guest today to talk about UFC 217. That's going to be awesome. Victor Rodriguez from the Bloody Elbow. Victor, man, nice to have you on the show, brother.
Yay! Thank you for having me back.
Jay, what do you got to say about this?
Well, Paki, you weren't here the first time that Victor joined us, but it was an amazing experience. I'm still buzzing over it. We had a hell of a lot of fun, man. And he promised to come back to talk about UFC at MSG, and he kept his word. So you got honor points from me, buddy.
We try, man. It is what it is. You know how it goes.
Man, Victor is awesome, and he's very respected. I heard that episode, although I wasn't there, man, and it was just awesome stuff, man. Awesome content. But
thank you.
Yeah, man, for real. But let's get right to it. Before we even get into the fight card, Jay, did you check up how much these tickets are running for in MSG?
A lot.
I mean, Jay lives in New York, and I don't think you'll ever be able to see UFC in Madison Square Garden, bro.
Hell no.
The reason...
Honest to God, though, the one that they did at Barclays Center, I could have gone there. I got lazy at the end, and I didn't go. A lot of the fights got canceled and stuff, and it just kind of left a weird taste in my mouth. I said, nah, fuck it, I'm not going.
Yo, we need to make MMA in New York illegal again. These prices are obscene. And it's they're charging, from what I understand, a similar price to what they did last year for the MSG card. But it's not obviously you don't have Conor McGregor at the top, but as far as star power is concerned, they packed it, but it's not as close as perhaps what it would have been last year. I don't know. I mean, you're still getting 3 title fights. I'm not necessarily to be too picky about it, but it's not a really great sign.
I heard they're not doing that well in ticket sales. They thought they'd be way further by now.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much stock you can put into that. I don't know how true that is or to what extent, if it is. But, sometimes you do get a lot of late sales. Maybe the pay-per-view sales will be able to bail them out here. It's really a difficult thing because you have to consider how expensive it is to put on an event in New York. And not only that, the insurance premium that you have to pay for each fighter, I believe, tops out at about $1 million each. So the New York State Athletic Commission does not make it any easier. And the UFC is obviously trying to get these marquee events out there. So I don't know. Maybe they'll be able to make that money on the back end through distribution. But as far as gates, you never really know until the end. Just because it doesn't sell out immediately as they may have expected, I don't know. It's just a very weird thing to predict.
Yeah, I really expect the pay-per-view to just blow it up. I mean, I don't think many people are going to go watch, in Madison Square Garden, pay that amount of money. And here's a fact.
Well, people will go, Paki. Don't underestimate.
Yeah, of course, it's not going to be empty. It's not going to be empty.
Yeah, don't underestimate the fact that it's in New York and GSP is Canadian, so a lot of people may drive down from Toronto. It's not like that far of a trip. It's not like an impossible thing to do. You can actually drive down here and don't discount the Canadian contingency at all, as well as the London fans. I mean, this is more than anything an international card.
Sorry to issue here the correction here, but GSP is more of a Montreal guy. That's actually even closer from New York, or to New York. So yeah, I mean, you might get some of those rabid Canadian fans, but you got to wonder, for a guy who hasn't fought in 4 years, are they going to be that animated to make that happen? I don't know. I don't know if they can. They might. Especially if ticket sales drop, or the prices rather end up either through whatever means. But I don't know, man. It's still iffish.
I heard they had a survey done. One of the podcasts, I think it was MMA The Beat. They had a survey done on how many fans actually had ever seen GSP fight, and almost 40% of the fights, the fans came in saying they have never seen a GSP fight. Remember, a lot of the UFC fans that are in it now came in on board after the Conor McGregor explosion and Ronda Rousey explosion. Well, GSP wasn't fighting when Conor McGregor blew up. So I pretty much understand that, and that might actually be affecting a little bit the ticket sales. Nobody knows who this guy is. I mean, not nobody, but, you know.
I gotta call bullshit on that. You know who else was fighting when GSP was around? Brock Lesnar. Okay, and a lot of the people that jumped on the UFC train around that time, they were following because of Brock Lesnar. So, you know, I gotta wonder what sample audience they chose to make that particular survey. What kind of audience it is that they picked? How big was this group? You know, how old were these people? What kind of
young.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, how young were you aiming to really get this going? I mean, sure, look, you have a lot of people that were fans back then that, like, for example, myself. Now you're a little older, you're married, you got kids, you got other obligations. You probably can't really plunk down $50-$60 for every event. You know what I mean? It's just not feasible for a lot of people, and it's a sport that we have to continually throw money at no matter what. It's the blessing and the curse. You want to keep this shit alive or don't you? But you also got to look at it on the other hand, you know, okay, fine. Let's say that all this stuff was accurate. Let's say that they met these metrics that are reasonable for a modern day audience. You find a bunch of people and they say they've never seen him fight, or they don't know who he is, or they don't know why he's so special. Okay, cool. I'll let you rock. Well, let me ask you this. Why is it not upon the UFC? Why is it not their responsibility to promote this and bring this thing to high heaven? God damn, he's fought for you so many times. You have so many highlight reels. You want to show finishes? Show that too. You know, show off his wrestling and his striking, why he's such a virtuoso. Show the old clips, his journey. You know, the old episodes of the countdown shows where he'd visit his parents in Canada and he'd play with his nephews, and then from there he goes on to the gym. He's doing gymnastics. He's doing Pilates. You know, what a cerebral approach he has as a fighter. Show him hanging out with Henzo and Danaher and all these other fucking geniuses. Sit down with an interview with Greg Jackson and ask him about him. There are ways that you can do this. There are ways that you can make this work. And as a function of making this a sellable thing, an event that you can really capitalize on, they have failed in every single aspect. And that's the thing. That's the biggest thing with I kind of compare the UFC's promotional attitude to what the Obama administration was in some ways, right? Like, the only way this works is if you have the wind at your backs. Oh, we can work with this? Okay, sure. But, like, there has to be a lot of momentum already there for them to be able to hop on and say, okay, let's push this thing forward. You know, and it's a lot easier for you to push a stalled car and get it to start if it's already rolling because some other people started pushing it. You know, Conor McGregor worked so well because, yeah, there was already a bunch of hype already from Europe, and he helped himself by being so bombastic and being a singular personality. Ronda Rousey, oh, the UFC made her a star. Yeah, okay, fine. But you'd have to be very intellectually lazy and intellectually dishonest to ignore the successes she had in Strikeforce and to ignore the promotional efforts that they had to push her to high heaven and make sure, guarantee that she was going to be out there front and center for their events and make her a big deal. And that's what made the whole thing with the crossover so special. So they could have made that happen, and they have no excuse. But this whole thing, well, you know, he's just not marketable. Like, how can you call yourself a promoter? How can you look at it and say, I'm not feeling at my job, wake up in the morning and look yourself in the mirror and go, yep, I'm doing great. Like, nah, get the fuck out of here. That's not how any of this works. That's not how any of this is supposed to function. It is on you. The onus is entirely on you to dig down heavy and push that extra weight, because it's not going to happen by itself. And maybe that's a contributing factor to what you just mentioned, right? The lackluster sales, or the possibility of. Okay, well, you also have to consider, look at how many shows these guys are putting on week after week after week. I haven't checked the schedule in maybe since 2 weeks ago or something like that. I don't think we have a break until maybe New Year's. I think it's like every single week from here until late December. Maybe there's a 1 week break. Maybe. You know, you get fatigue from fans. You know, you have all these Fox Sports 1 shows, and you don't have time to promote another event in the interim because you have that burnout, right? Week before last, you had the Poland card. Then you had a week to promote the Brazil card. Now you got a week to really push this card. You know what I mean? Like, you got a Virginia card in 2 weeks. Who's thinking about that?
Nobody. And I'm going to go further, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to go further. The UFC finally has a legit fight in the co-main event that has a legit storyline that you can promote so well. You can fucking put on your social media, on YouTube, clips from The Ultimate Fighter and the issues between Dillashaw and Garbrandt, and actually have the fans want to see this and want to buy it. But no, not even that, bro. They're not. I mean, I'm a huge fan, so of course I'm following everything and I know the storyline. But if you want to bring new people in, that's not how you do it.
No, I mean, maybe there's an attempt to do like the professional wrestling route. Like, okay, you're going to come in to see, Hulk Hogan versus the Iron Sheik, to see if Hulk Hogan's become more racist. But you put the match under, the co-main event, you really want to put the guys that can work and push at pace and be exciting so that then they eventually can become the main eventers themselves. I'm not sure how sound that really is. I mean, Garbrandt, I believe, has already, actually, I'm not entirely sure if he's been in the main event. But look, the point I'm trying to make here is this, is maybe they're trying to use the veterans with the big Hollywood star power to get a bit of shine. And it is a bit of a shame because it doesn't really feel like it's necessary. You know what I mean? You have a much more legitimate fight between two of the absolute elite at the 135 division. The only two guys, the third guy that I could put in that echelon has to be Dominic Cruz, and we already saw him fight Garbrandt. So it's a fresh matchup. It's an exciting matchup. Former teammates. There's a lot of animosity there. Yeah, I agree. It would be a great thing for them to do, but I don't know, dude. I don't know why it has to be that way. And actually, I think this is the first time. No, neither. Dillashaw has headlined pay-per-view events before, but Garbrandt has not. But Garbrandt's a sellable personality. He's got the tattoos. He's probably not the most educated or most well-spoken guy, and that's not a knock on him. I mean, obviously, he's been very open about his struggles with learning disabilities and not being very academically gifted. But what I mean by that is, he does have that common man appeal. He's a handsome guy. He's a humble dude. A bit of a quick fuse, but you can work with this. You can make this happen. You can sell this guy to the audiences and make him a bankable star. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's very just another one of those things that no matter how much you love the sport and no matter how much you love what the UFC's done for it, it's like, God damn, why can't you do better?
All right, so let me just wrap up some loose ends. So I went on StubHub, and I know this is aftermarket, but I can find tickets as cheap as $150. But when I look at the map, this is like beyond nosebleeds. This is like you're better off watching it, from across the street with a telescope, pretty much. And yeah, you had a little bit of a doubt there, Vic, of whether or not Garbrandt has headline. He is not. He was the co-main event against Dominic Cruz. That was actually headlined by Amanda Nunes and Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, that was December of last year. Yeah, I just saw.
Yep.
All right, so let's get straight to the card. I'm briefly gonna go over the preliminary card. There's like 3 fights there that I'm actually really interested in watching, but. Let's check out Vic. Vic, do you have anything in that preliminary card specifically that you're looking forward to?
Oh man, did you ask the right motherfucker? Man, listen,
I know.
I got a lot that I'm looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to 3 fights particularly, but let's see which are
okay. All right, I guess I'll start off. First off, opening the card, you have Ayman Zahabi. Yes, Zahabi, as in Firas Zahabi's brother. Who, if you haven't seen him fight on the regional circuit, he is pretty damn good. He's an assistant instructor up at TriStar in Montreal, and he's just he's one of those guys who's just been training and sparring with elite fighters for such a long time, and a lot of it's been rubbing off on him. So despite the 7-0 record, don't be fooled. He's got a lot more experience in that. He's going to be taking out Ricardo Ramos off the Brazilian circuit, so that's going to be fun. Curtis Blades, a supernaturally strong wrestler, is going to be taking on Alexei Oleinik, who we last saw submitting Travis Brown after Brown was inexplicably yet again unable to put him away. Just a super, super tricky guy who's had over 60 fights. Just really an absolute animal. Ion Cutelaba is going to be on this card as well. Mickey Gall is making his return. He's fighting against Randy Brown, Pride of Jamaica. That's going to be a dope fight.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I'm looking forward to.
That's a sleeper. That's a sleeper. A lot of people are not, they might not be looking, I don't know who these guys are. Like, no, Mickey Gall is not just some guy that beat up CM Punk. That dude is very, very legit. And that year that he's had of inactivity, he didn't just spend it, eating popcorn on his couch and playing Titanfall. Like, that brother's been out there. He's been really improving and mixing shit up. Corey Anderson was supposed to fight Patrick Cummins, and we got addition by subtraction because Cummins got injured. So Oven St. Preux, fresh off of the Von Preux choke that he landed against Yushin Okami, is going to be taking out Corey Anderson there as a replacement. That is going to be so dope. I mean, somebody's getting slapped.
That's the second one I was looking forward to.
Dude,
okay.
Yeah, Walt Harris is taking on Mark Godbeer. I don't know how I feel about that one. I mean, I guess I'm excited because Walt Harris is another super freak athlete, and Mark Godbeer is just like, just a very, very ballsy, one of those dudes that you could see him on a, like if Game of Thrones were real, you could see him being one of those dudes in the bar who's constantly getting his teeth knocked out, but he's like kind of the unofficial bouncer. He's that dude, he's very,
wait a minute.
What's up?
You mean Game of Thrones is not real?
I don't know. I thought the dragons were a tip-off. I don't know. What do you think you were watching? Hey, listen, some people watch the Flintstones and think it's a documentary, but hey, fuck you want me to do? And finally, I know this has got to be on your list. This has got to be number 3. Joe Duffy against my man, James Vick. Fire. Absolute fire. God damn, I love that fight. Oh my God! Both super sneaky jiu-jitsu. Vic, a lot more of a heavier guy. He's a big lightweight, sneaky. Both of them very slick boxers with some actual amateur boxing experience. I think Joe Duffy had some pro fights as a boxer too for a while. He stepped away from MMA for a little while to just straight up box. And I mean, goddamn, that's a good fight. That's a really good fight. And Duffy, another TriStar guy, coming out from Montreal. So that's really dope right there.
Jay, what about you? What are you looking for in the prelims? Anyone there that you like?
I mean, we asked him to say what he liked, and he gave us all the fights.
He wants to see them all.
You goddamn right I do, yeah.
I mean, I want to see them all too, but I'm just highlighting those 3 particularly ones are 3 fights that I'm really looking forward to.
Well, in the fight pass, I'm looking forward to Olynyk. I don't know what that says about Travis Brown that he's losing to a guy that is in the prelim, the 6 o'clock fights and fight pass.
It says he can't fight smart to save his fucking life is what it is, and it's unfortunate.
Yep. I also liked Mickey Brown Mickey Gall. I mixed up both their names. I've been drinking for a while, Vic, in case you didn't know. We just recorded a regular
Keep drinking, don't worry. You'll straighten the names out the more drunk you get.
Yeah, so Mickey Gall, I really like Mickey Gall. I like that he comes out there, he challenges fighters. He seems to be improving every time he comes out. And I have also seen a couple of Randy Brown highlights. Not so much the fights, because like you said, man, just watching every single event and every single fight is exhausting. But I've seen some highlights, and I'm excited to see the matchup and how that plays out. I also agree with you that I'd rather have Oven St. Preux against Corey Anderson than Patrick Cummins. And, I like Mark Godbeer. Damn it. I got Mike under the brain. Mark Godbeer is a fucking Viking. Love that dude.
Can we say that's an awesome name, by the way? Godbeer.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Although his nickname is his nickname kind of ruins it. Like Hand of God Beer. Like, well, you already got beer. Like, that negates the beer. I don't know.
I wouldn't even use a nickname with that last name. But go ahead, Jay.
So that's pretty much it, man. I don't know enough about James Vick and Joe Duffy, but this is why we brought an expert, man, to come in and school us.
All right, man. I'm really looking forward. I already mentioned it, man. Brown Mickey Gall fight is going to be nice. Mickey Gall coming in for his 4th fight. Most of the 3 guys he's fought are 3 guys coming off pretty much like brand new into the UFC because he beat Sage Northcutt. He beat, you already said it, CM Punk. So we don't really know much about him. And Brown is another one that's kind of been experienced in the UFC. For those listening out there that don't know, I believe he came from that show that Dana White has, Looking for a Fight, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that they picked up there. So he's an awesome striker, man. But Mickey Gall's jiu-jitsu is fucking legit. And I would not be surprised to see Mickey Gall take him out. The other fight that I'm looking for is St. Preux versus Anderson, just like you said. St. Preux is an animal, man. He's a beast. So it's going to be an awesome fight. And finally, Joe Duffy, Irish, one of Conor McGregor's guys, not just because he's Irish, but, they've talked about it. It's a striker in Vic versus Duffy who has awesome head movement. Vic has the length advantage, but I'm really looking forward to what Duffy can do. I mean, Duffy is a guy that can project for the future, so it's gonna be a fun preliminary card, man.
Actually, I'm sorry. One minor thing here. Duffy and McGregor kind of had a bit of beef. They're not really buddies. McGregor was calling him out, talking about he's not really Irish because he doesn't live in Ireland or whatever. And there's a little bit of history there. Apparently, they've been sniping a little back and forth. But I don't know. I guess that's you got to remember also. Duffy was the last guy to beat him. I think outside of the UFC. Way back.
My bad. I must have confused it with the other Irish boxer. What was his name? He's in another weight class. But you're right. You're definitely right. That was on me. Anyways, I guess we can go right to the main event card. Now we're going to break this one by one. All right. So let's start off with the first fight of the UFC 217 main card. Paulo Borrachina versus Johnny Hendricks. What's up, Jay?
I just wanted to mention, Vic, in case you didn't know, we do the UFC pick'ems. I put it on Facebook on Unofficial Commentators. A couple of people join. I basically only play for the pay-per-view event. So you're welcome to join, and everyone who's listening, if they want to challenge the host of the Unofficial Commentators and Victor from the Bloody Elbow, by all means, jump in there and join the fray and see how well you stack up against the experts. I'm doing air quotes, but you can't see it because this is audio only.
All right. Well, I'll probably. I mean, I won't be watching the event live, but I'll certainly jump in and see what's going on there. You know, dip my toe in the water, see what's good.
Make some picks, man. Are we guiding some of these picks, Paki, as we go along, or are we just talking what we think?
Well, yeah, man, we could start giving our picks, but let's keep it with the main card. I mean, prelims are prelims, so there are going to be good fights. So let's give importance to the main card.
All right, by all means, go ahead.
All right, so the first one, like I said, Paulo Borrachina fighting Johnny Hendricks. Borrachina for the first time fighting outside of Brazil, and what a stage, man! From Brazil all the way to Madison Square Garden. My first question, before we even get to this, is: do any of you guys think Johnny Hendricks is going to make weight on this one?
Nope, this fight's going to be canceled already.
Okay, that's what I thought too.
Nah, it's not getting canceled, but no, he ain't making no goddamn weight. You kidding me? Shit. As long as there are hot dog carts in New York, there's no. It's just I can't trust him. And if you know what, okay, look, let's say he does. He's still Johnny Hendricks. You know what I mean? He's just become super unreliable. So maybe with the fact that he's training at Jackson Winklejohn, he might show a few new wrinkles or, kind of pick up some of the traits that got him to success at first. But I don't know, man. He's just developed so many bad habits.
Wasn't most of his success, though, the fact that he was just so big at 170 and now he just looks tiny and his reach looks like shit?
Nah. Well, he looks tiny at 185. The problem is that he never was disciplined with his weight and his conditioning. So if you're a 170 fighter and you balloon to 210, and then you try to cut those last maybe 20 to 15 to 20 pounds with 2 days to go to the fight, that's on you. You know what I mean? Especially a guy who grew up wrestling, your kidneys eventually start to have that fatigue. You're not cutting weight as efficiently or as well. So what ends up happening is you start missing weight. It starts draining your performances. The recovery isn't going to go as smoothly. And I think Johnny Hendricks was mostly affected by that. And the fact that he was with Team Takedown in Texas. I guess he decided to save some money and leave them. I don't know if you're familiar with what Team Takedown, what their business model was.
No, go ahead by all means.
All right, well, basically what I understood was that some of the guys they were getting paid to train, right? So I'm gonna pay JJ, $75,000 a year. You come train in my facility with our coaches and our staff, and we're gonna bring in training partners and all this other stuff. But what you make as a fighter, up to a certain point, we're gonna take, say, anywhere between 20 to 30 to maybe even 50%. I don't know how much was coming out of Hendricks' pocket, but back when he was actually welterweight champion, the rumor is that they were taking anywhere between 30 to half of what he was making at that point. So they got fat, and apparently he wanted to trim that fat, and he decided to venture out on his own, train with the wrestling team at Oklahoma State University, his alma mater. He took his own boxing coach and his own jiu-jitsu coach and tried to piece it together, but he never was able to replicate that success. And I don't know. Maybe he's got his shit together now with Jackson, but again, he's just a
Well,
guy I can't trust.
I'm
Too
not afraid to
little, too
say,
late.
yeah, I'm not afraid to say that it can't be a coincidence that after they got really strict with steroids and the IVs for rehydrating after the weigh-ins, Johnny Hendricks started really to struggle. So I'm also going to put that on the reasons why I don't trust him. But, I mean, what about Paul Borrachina? Like I said, he's fighting the first time out of Brazil. You know, talking about Johnny Hendricks, he's probably not even going to be in the card by Saturday. So Paul Borrachina is a beast, man. He's looked good in his last fights. I've only seen his UFC fights. I haven't really seen his fights before UFC, to be honest. What about you, Vic? Have you seen anything from him?
Bonacina? Oh yeah. Just a very precise and very crafty kickboxer with really good takedown defense. He's not a slouch on the ground as far as his submission defense or, really making things uncomfortable for his opponent to advance position. So if Hendricks gets him down, he's still going to have a lot of work to do. It's done. People are going to probably think that just because Paulo's more of a kickboxer, it's just going to be a matter of, well, if Johnny takes him down, it's over. Like, nope. Johnny takes him down. That's about 30% of the battle. You're going to have a lot more to deal with. And not only that, but he's younger. He's in far better condition.
Yeah.
He's a much more naturally explosive and dynamic athlete. I really think that Paulo is going to be the guy to win this, and I don't think it's going to be pretty.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny Hendricks only uses his takedowns for points. It's not like he ground and pound. So if he can't get those points and he's forced to stay up versus Borrachina, it's going to get ugly, man. I agree.
All right. So 3 of us picking Borrachina, and we sweep it. Moving on.
All right, the next one. Oh, my God, this is going to be a crazy good fight. Masvidal versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I don't think I'd have to talk anything about these guys. I mean, everybody knows where these guys are coming from. Wonderboy Thompson's last 2 fights versus Tyron Woodley. If he was able to handle the punches from Tyron Woodley, the bombs that were landed on him, I don't think he's going to have much trouble with Masvidal. What do you think?
I'm sorry, you're talking to me or JJ? I'm sorry.
No, you, Victor. You're the. Hey, man, you're the guest star in today's show, man. Me and JJ, we're just following to you, bro.
Come on, it's your house. I'm just company. Yeah, Jorge, man, I can't pick against him, man. He's just been on such a hot streak. I mean, I've been following this guy's career since he's been out there on not so much the regional scene, because I ended up seeing that, way after the fact when he was like Shark Fights and Sengoku and all that. But I remember him, the bouts that he had in Strikeforce, and just watching him sort of teeter a bit in the UFC, but then see him going on this crazy tear where he beat Ross Pearson, Jake Ellenberger, and then Donald Cerrone. And I mean, finishing those last 2, by the way, just absolutely brutally. And, yeah, sure, he got backpacked and lost a split decision to Damian Maia. There's no shame in that. I mean, a split decision that was, no one disagrees with. It was a very, very close fight against maybe arguably the best grappler in the sport right now. It is what it is, and he's going to be facing a super dynamic striker with a very good range game and a very, just an absolutely lethal and quick, in and out darting arsenal. I mean, damn, I don't know. I just feel that maybe he's in one of those cats. He's probably in those top 5 of the guys who are super, super smart about how they fight, but they don't get enough credit. He's up there for me, like with Clifford Starks and those guys. And it seems to me like he might be able to crack that code. It seems to me like he'll be able to catch Thompson with something coming in, or at least disrupt his momentum, sort of catch him mid-movement and do some sort of to either break some movement, whether it's laterally or utilizing his jab, or maybe countering with some hooks or something along those lines. And you also got to remember, man, Masvidal's wrestling is really, really good. And a lot of people sleep on that because he prefers to strike. But, man, he's just rice and beans eating motherfucker like him, man. I can't pick against him. So I got to go with Jorge on this one.
I am a huge Wonder Boy fan. This is a really tough matchup for him, though. The last time Wonder Boy lost prior to Tyron Woodley was against Matt Brown in 2012. But Matt Brown, to me, is a similar fighter to Masvidal in the fact that they're just so gritty, and they strike and they wrestle, and they're not the same fighter, not by all means, but just so close to cracking the code, like you said. Um, the prospect of seeing Wonder Boy go up against Masvidal is a little scary if you're a Wonder Boy fan, but I don't think that Wonder Boy is going to take 2 losses in a row. I'm going Wonder Boy on this one.
Yeah, man. I have to say, I mean, Matt Brown is good and all, but Stephen Thompson's striking is awesome, especially the way he uses his legs. I think that's going to be key versus Masvidal. And here's the thing. I don't think any of these guys are going to hit the mat at any point during this fight. This is going to be a stand-up fight throughout the entire 3 rounds. I don't know if you agree with me, Vic, on that one, but I don't expect these guys to even try to go to the floor on this one.
Yeah, if it ends up on the ground, it's probably going to be an accident. I mean, this is one of those fights where you have that unofficial gentleman's agreement of like, no, we're going to stand and we're going to settle this motherfucker. Like, we're not, the whole thing of like, no, we'll explore all aspects of the fight. Like that's for us to speculate, but for them to actually get there, we know what their preferred method of dispatching their opponents is. So, that's really keeping it funky.
This is by the way, this is my dark horse for performance of the night or for fight of the night. To be honest, even though it's not a title fight, I think these guys are going to put blood on that mat for sure.
Oh yeah, it doesn't have to be a title fight for that. I mean, that's definitely, and Jorge is always a nominee when it comes to that kind of thing. So yeah, somebody here is going to definitely get hurt. But I'll tell you what, we're going to definitely see some great performances from both of them against each other, and that's always a treat.
Hell yes. 2-1. All right, we're 2-1 on Stephen Warren and the boy Thompson on this one. All right, so the next one, the first title fight of the night for the strawweight championship, Rose Namajunas faces Joanna Jędrzejczyk, which to me, she's like the Mighty Mouse of women. So, I mean, dude, what do you got for this fight? By the way, straight off the bat, I think Jędrzejczyk is going to win. No disrespect to Namajunas. She's been great, but Jędrzejczyk is just awesome, dude.
No, Rose is awesome. I mean, look, both of them, God, I really had hoped that Joanna would get much more of a rub as well. This is another bit of malpractice, or as Luke Thomas calls it, promotional malpractice. Joanna should really be a far bigger star than she is right now because of her personality and her fighting style. But, a lot of people have a hard time. It's not like Ronda Rousey was taking people down and extending their arm. It's a lot more brutal when you see a fight like, Joanna taking on Jessica Penne and bloodying her face up, or brutalizing Carla Esparza with elbows standing. I don't know, but that's maybe another conversation for another day. As far as this particular bout goes, I think Rose is a lot craftier than people give her credit for. The way she sets up her high kicks is really, really slick, but she's a lot more limited offensively. And I think that also, as far as her striking defense, she's good, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough to deal with like the forward pressure, the angles, the moving side to side, and eventually, not just the longer combinations. That's another thing.
The general output, man, like Joanna Jędrzejczyk is nonstop.
When you see boxers training combinations, they go 5, 6, 7 punch combinations. It's something that they have, that they hardwire and that they work on. In MMA, and I watch so many horrible fights because I have to. So many bad fights, and it's always, even in some better fighters, it's just the 1-2, one hand after the other, But Joanna's one of those rare people that has that ability they still have that discipline of throwing 4 or 5 punches and then following up with something else. They'll give you a break just when you think she's done. Boom, here comes another one. Or here comes a hook to the liver. Or here comes another leg kick. And that's really what I think is going to be it. It's going to be suffocating with pressure and breaking Namajunas down. I don't know how Rose is going to get it to the ground. If it does, I obviously have to pick Rose. I mean, her jiu-jitsu is super, super solid. Yeah. But I don't know, man. I see lapses in her striking defense, and I don't know that I don't think that Joanna's going to leave too many opportunities open for her to get struck and eventually beaten standing. It would be a hell of an upset if it did. Oh my God, I would lose my fucking mind that would be. That would be so, and I love Joanna to death, but holy shit, if that can you imagine? Like, if anyone was going to pull off that kind of crazy upset thus far of all of her opponents, I think it's Rose. And, I'll tell you what, I don't really think that this is the last time that they'll fight each other at the rate that this division's going. So, looking forward to a treat, but I gotta say that Joanna's got to take this.
Jay, what do you think?
I think Victor's doing an awesome job of promoting his fight. Probably,
yes.
Probably
you should hire me. Fuck.
Most definitely, man. I would say that obviously a lot better than how the UFC's managed her so far. But the fact of the matter is, you're right in the sense that I don't think that, except for some like Matt Serra kind of looping right that just catches Joanna totally off guard. I don't think jiu-jitsu is going to be enough in this case. Like the output is just so much. It just keeps coming. It's like trying to fight off mosquitoes in Montecristi. It's like it's overwhelming.
Yeah, you better bring a shotgun for that, Montecristi. I hear they got mosquitoes the size of pickup trucks up there.
That's
Yeah,
pretty much all they got. You want to go see? Hey, what's there to see
That's
here? Oh, well, mosquitoes. Yeah, we
that's their
got
main. Yeah, that's the main export.
yeah.
mosquitoes.
Rose has like a really sweet personality, and like you said, her jiu-jitsu is off the charts. But Joanna's, I mean, her personality is also awesome. By the way, she seems like a really cool person. But her speed, bro, I think that's going to be the difference. Not just everything that you already mentioned. I think that's what's helped her get through, clean out this division. It's the speed. I don't think Rose is going to find the opportunity to take it to the ground at any given moment. And if she does, I don't think it's going to be in a situation where Joanna won't be able to get out of it. So, yeah, man, I think, like you said, my jaw would fucking drop if Rose pulls this one off. So I'm also going with Jędrzejczyk, so we're cleaning on that one. So we're moving on to, in my opinion, what should be the main event and the one that I'm looking forward to the most out of this entire card. Bantamweight championship on the line. Former champion TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt. God damn, is this exciting? Because this is a legit rivalry. Like, this is no promo. This is no, like, we're talking shit just to sell. These guys truly have some history, man.
They do. And Dillashaw, the rumors are surfacing very conveniently right before this fight from his former teammates at Alpha Male that, he was a little rough and he was kind of a bully in training and that he might have, in fact, either delayed or ended the career of one of his training partners. So, man, that's pretty heavy shit right there. And God, this is two of the most agile, precise, and just wondrous people to watch in this division. Watching Cody Garbrandt's virtuoso performance, his true coming out party against Dominic Cruz, it kind of makes me wonder, man. I mean, if Dominic Cruz, of all people, couldn't really lay a glove on you and couldn't take you down, what's TJ Dillashaw got in his bag of tricks that's going to be able to stop you? And that's what I really think is going to be the most interesting thing. Okay, I know Dillashaw's got super skills, right? Again, as I mentioned before, he's supremely, I mean, this dude is elite, there's no doubt about that. But even though he's elite, what is he going to do? How does he make the difference, and how does he put a stop to this? What's Garbrandt going to look like once he faces a great degree of adversity? This is going to be very interesting, and by all means. So I'm going to have to favor Garbrandt because, again, the way that he's fought thus far, especially against someone who is as agile and as fleet on his feet as Dominic Cruz was. But, even though, I mean, he fought the way he beat Thomas Almeida, the way he beat Augusto Mendez, I just, goddamn, I don't know how anybody could pick against Garbrandt in this one. But the biggest point of interest, as I mentioned, is going to see how exactly this fight manifests itself and unfolds.
What about you, Jay? What do you got?
26 years old, undefeated is Cody Garbrandt. And he trains with the coaches that were part of TJ Dillashaw's formative MMA years. I'm also going Garbrandt on this one. I just like him better. But that I can remember, TJ Dillashaw is probably the only bantamweight who's ranked in the top contenders that has like real knockout power and real knockouts in his past. So, if you just kind of go out there and dance around and dodge and do all that stuff, that's great. But all it's going to take is that one punch from TJ Dillashaw to take you down. Like the way he put Renan Barao to sleep was just incredible. Just watching him fall forward like that was crazy. Has Cody Garbrandt had his chin tested that way? Obviously not against Dominic Cruz. So that's the thing to look out for. But again, so much has been made of the fact that TJ Dillashaw, in a sense, emulates the Dominic Cruz style, and Cody Garbrandt seemed to have all the answers for that. So again, man, the youth, the not getting tight in those moments, the training. I'm gonna go with Cody Garbrandt in this one, and I just like him better, man. He had me sold the moment he brought in. I don't know if it was a Make-A-Wish kid or just someone who had a lifelong dream to be in the octagon. That little kid that he brings to the ring, that was incredible, man. I'm sold. I'm a huge fan. I like this card, if for nothing else, just because I'm a huge fan of a lot of these fighters.
Vic, I'm going to ask you on air before I even give my point of view on this fight. I became a huge TJ Dillashaw fan during those Renan Barao matches. God damn, did he look nice. And I truly believe that Dillashaw was cheated out of his title with Dominic Cruz. Do you think Dominic Cruz really did beat Dillashaw that fight?
That's one of those...
I really, really was not convinced that Dominic beat him. I mean, you got to treat the champion like the champion.
Well, okay, when you say treating the champion like the champion, are you saying that the judges perhaps should have been more favorable in that regard? Because I don't think that's...
I believe it was 2-2, and there was a round that was really, 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 really close that you could have given it to either one. And if you could give it to either one, that happens.
Yeah. I mean, that can happen. That can happen in more than one round, too, Yeah. I don't know. That's one of those fights I got to watch again. You know what I mean? Like, I felt that it was so close. I do remember it being one of those fights that was super close, but to the point where I wasn't like, okay, they picked that guy to win. All right, I'm not mad at that because I could see either guy winning or I could see the case for a draw. Unfortunately, maybe the way I view fights, and I know I'm definitely an outlier for a lot of this stuff, but that seems to happen to me more often than it happens to a lot of other people. There are just some fights where that happens where I'm just like, it's not that you're indifferent. It's just a matter of like, okay, well, I guess that guy won. I mean, I got to watch it again, but it was just so close. I can see why. I can see what the judges put over. I might not agree with it, but I see why, given the judge, the habits that certain judges have or, what they sometimes prioritize as far as scoring goes, why they would emphasize on certain things and reward that on a scorecard. So, I don't really know that I can answer that as a yes or no thing right now because, again, I really got to see it again. I can't remember even... Jeez, I can't even remember what event that was.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Fight Night 81. Okay, so that was last January. Jesus, that was way over a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I'd have to see that again. I'm sorry.
Well, it's fine. It's fine because a lot of people beat me for it, but fuck it, I'm with Dillashaw. And I'll tell you this: Cody Garbrandt is an awesome fighter, and that Dominic Cruz performance you already said, and I don't have to go into it. And he's obviously the favorite, but I'm gonna go with TJ Dillashaw on this one, man. I'm gonna go different. Maybe it's the fan in me. First of all,
definitely the fan in you.
Yeah. First of all, I think it's unfair the amount of hate that Team Alpha Male has given him. I mean, I don't know the entire story, but I heard it straight from Garbrandt and Elijah Faber's mouths. The entire story when they were on the Joe Rogan Experience. They explained everything that happened, and I have to understand TJ Dillashaw did what's best for him. Financially, and these fighters don't make a lot of money anyway, so I gotta understand that. So
I gotta stop you right there. Listen,
yeah, there you go. That's what I want.
If you're paying to train at a place and you're like an instructor there, like TJ was, and you have all these expenditures as a fighter, and another team in Colorado says, hey, we're gonna pay you $100,000 plus to train here. You don't pay us, we pay you. Right. Sponsorships and all for you to come over here at our world-class, state-of-the-art facility. And, oh, by the way, your mentor that got you to that precipice of greatness, he's going to be moving back and he might be signing on. You can have him train with you at our gym. Are you not going to take that? So, like, if that's what we're talking about as far as knocking, like, yeah, of course. And all these people like, oh, Conor McGregor called it. No, he fucking didn't. Anybody who could have seen that and been like, you're going to get paid to train? It's like Johnny Hendricks, right? He got paid to train a team takedown, and he stuck with it until he didn't. So, same thing happened with Dillashaw. He took that opportunity, ran with it as he should have. He took it. He did everything he could because he knew that this career is finite. And not only that, it is brutal and fucking unforgiving. And he did what was best for him, and that's fine. I don't begrudge him for that. Now, if they were knocking him for being a bully and taking liberties with some of the newer fighters and being too rough in practice, that is fair criticism. That is fair and valid, and he should rightfully be knocked for that. But not the whole the financial thing. Like, come on, man. Now, how come he gets knocked for that? But who is it? Is it Danny Castillo? I think, who moved up to Colorado. One of the guys from Alpha Male. He's also up there. And no one gives him shit.
Because he was never a champion.
But that's what I'm saying, though, right? Like, no one gives him any stress whatsoever. So where's the friction there? Why you got to fuck with this one guy? Again, maybe there are other factors, and I believe, in fact, that there were other factors. I don't doubt that. And even Dillashaw himself has said, he's a very intense person, and sometimes things did get a bit too far. He just doesn't believe that it was to the extent that certain people are claiming, especially Chris Holtzclaw, who was the guy who suffered that severe concussion that sidelined him possibly for the rest of his career, or possibly the rest of his life. So I don't know, dude. I don't know. I mean, if you're gonna, just don't knock him for the money. That just makes people look dumb.
Right, exactly. And that's I wanted to get into that because I think it's unfair the way they've categorized him as a snake. That's fucked up, man. This is a really, like you said, it's a brutal business and it's an underpaid business. And he got a golden opportunity, man. That's a golden ticket. They gave him everything he would want. Take it. Now, the training thing, I'm not going to make an excuse for that. I just find kind of fucked up that all of that started surfacing, like you said, when this fight was starting to get promoted. It's like Team Alpha Male was like, oh, wait, well, maybe what he did wasn't that bad to the public, so we got to make him look worse. So now everybody sides with Cody. Fuck that. I'm siding with TJ Dillashaw. There's not much logic to how he's going to win because Jay pretty much said it as well. The guys training Garbrandt pretty much showed Dillashaw how to fight MMA. So
maybe they did, but I mean, a lot of that also, he does have great sparring partners like Neil Magny and them up in Colorado. Exactly. He does have Dwayne Ludwig still, that was a major key to his success. He was already an elite level wrestler when he came to Team Alpha Male. So, it's not a matter of like, oh, we know everything he can do. No, I mean, he is still maturing as a fighter. He might be reaching his peak now. But yeah, sure, there are obviously some tendencies that they may have picked up on, especially when you've been at a gym for quite some time. I think one of the things that needs to be mentioned is that, these rumors had been out there for quite some time, but they've just increased in volume in the last week, which is, again, I do find that a bit suspect. Now, I'm not saying that the rumors aren't true, but it's like, great timing, though. That's kind of weird.
Well, you're in the media biz somewhat. Do you understand that this is when the media picks the story up and they start interviewing people who may be close to it, and that's when these things come out. So,
but in this case, it was Faber and Garbrandt that said it specifically on the Joe Rogan podcast. They were the ones that made the news.
Well, again, Cody's promoting a fight. Faber is, Mr. Team Alpha Male. And they probably asked him about it. I'm sure they didn't just, walk up to a microphone and say, "Hey, I got a story to tell about TJ Dillashaw."
Yeah, they if you saw the interview, they kind of waited for the specific opportunity to put that in there. But whatever, let's not get much into that. All I gotta say is I think the way Dillashaw can win this fight is using his wrestling. If he stays standing like Dominic Cruz did, it's gonna be a long night. But I think he can use his wrestling and make it a little bit uncomfortable for Garbrandt. I mean, everybody talks about Dillashaw's footwork, which is awesome. But I don't think that's what's going to save him in this fight. I think he's going to have to go back to his old school ways, take it to the ground. That's how he's going to have to win it. So I'm going to stick with Dillashaw on this one. Fuck it, man. I might be wrong, but I don't care, man. I'm sticking to my guy.
Let me just remind you of one thing, okay? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, one of the best games in the history of everything.
Hell yeah.
Came out before Cody Garbrandt was even born. Okay? Youth is an advantage, and I think it's going to be a big one. One more thing, he's not a slouch either, man. This dude didn't make it to college off of his wrestling because his grades didn't hold up. So that's another thing you got to consider, man. Cody is not a slouch.
I know, of course.
He's going to make it super hard. That's what makes this fight so fucking good, man.
Yes.
That's why I'm so hyped for this. I'm amped for that fight.
Now, this is one fight that if at the end they fucking shake their hands, I'm going to be pissed as fuck if that happens. Because no matter how much you fight, that brawl, that beef is still there, man. He left Team Alpha Male. Fuck that. I mean, don't come with that John Jones Cormier bullshit like, oh, he's a great fighter. No, fuck that. It'd be like fuck them, and that's it. That's how it should be. That's in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, but when you become a champion, you go mainstream, so you kind of cool off on that. Yeah, that's more of a Diaz brother thing. Hey, I just beat him. Fuck you. I'm not surprised, motherfucker. Ha ha ha. Fuck this guy. He fights midgets. But
All right. All right,
uh
so the main event, middleweight championship, George St. Pierre versus Michael Bisping. This is, in my opinion, is going to be a good fight. This is a fight that would have been awesome back in 2009, by the way. It would have been a great fight. But, Vic, I'll let you start off, man. What do you got for this fight?
Oh God, I don't know, man. I mean, sure, Bisping, quick hands, excellent boxing with Jason Perillo, the best fighter to never win a UFC title until he stunned the world on short notice and beat the piss out of Luke Rockhold. I mean, a guy who looked unstoppable at the time. Like,
early stop.
yeah, sure. No, not early. Forget it, man. Once your arms go limp, forget it. That's done. You was been deaded, sir. But you know what, man? It kills me because it's like, okay, Bisping has been a guy who he's gotten a lot of unfair criticism. He's fought everybody that they put in front of him. He's never turned down a fight. He's beaten some of the best. He's fought some of the best and lost to them as well. But he's always been game for anything. And despite not being maybe the best athlete, he's at least been one of the most disciplined dudes. He kept at it, and he used his craft and his guile to get ahead, which is fine. And he deserved to win that title. He won it fair and square. Sure, a lot of people gave him shit for fighting Henderson as his first title defense, who I don't even think was in the top 10. But like, you had a bunch of other people that were either committed to fight each other, injured, or whatever. And then, Henderson, this was his last fight. It was a goodbye thing, and he was willing to fight Bisping in England, and they had the angle of like, Henderson knocking him out way back in the day, right? So, okay, fine, that happened. And now this is happening. And yeah, sure, George St. Pierre, excellent wrestler, one of the greatest of all time. He's leapfrogging the entire middleweight division, hasn't fought in 4 years, never fought at this weight class. Like, what's he going to look like? How motivated is he? What's his boxing going to look like? Is he going to be tentative? Is he going to shoot in and actually be successful with his wrestling? And what does it mean if he is? Like, is he going to be reserved on the ground? Will he be more aggressive? Will it pay off? Like, there's so many questions here that I cannot reliably pick George St. Pierre to win this fight. I just don't see it. Maybe there's, he's really good at setting up a lot of these feints with level changes. He's really good at ducking in, establishing the jab, ducking to threaten the takedown, and then continuing to jab. And just when you think he's going to jab you again, there comes a takedown, or there comes the left high kick, which is one of his most underrated weapons. And once that happens, I mean, Bisping is still imminently hittable. I can see him, landing one of those kicks. Like, I'm having visions of that right now, but I can only put that at like a 10% chance of happening. Much like I said about Rose versus Joanna, it's like, holy shit, if it happens. Oh my God, if it happens. Like, what an amazing tale that would be. I just don't know, man. I don't know that I can trust it, and I just don't. God, I got to go with Bisping on this. This fight shouldn't be. My disgust with this is the fact that it really shouldn't be happening. Rightfully, I should be seeing Bobby Knuckles right now, Robert motherfucker Whitaker in there against Michael Bisping. But, look, Whitaker's also he's nursing a knee injury himself right now, and there's no other clear-cut contender. So
yeah, let's not forget that it was going to be GSP and Tyron Woodley, and Dana White got pissed off at Tyron Woodley for that bullshit last fight that he had. He's like, fuck it, I'm not going to give it to him. Well, hey, they said that.
No. They say a lot of things. They say a lot. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. That was his way of justifying the fight that he already wanted to make in the first place.
Yeah,
all right? George is probably tired of having to cut to 170, and he's already kind of a big-ish welterweight, but he's going to be a hell of a smaller middleweight. So, you know what I mean? Like, that's just one of those things that you say to kind of do that promotional bluster, but unfortunately it doesn't really work at making things better, because now who wants to see Tyron Woodley fight? Like, instead of this is, again, we dovetailed back to where we started. Instead of promoting your guys and showing them, okay, he had a boring fight, but he's still talented, and it's a testament to him not being, taken down and all this shit. No, what do? You trash the guy because you're going to make a little more money on that end, but you're driving down this dude's market value. Guess what, asshole? That drives your buy rates as well. Then you wonder why he can't make any money when he headlines a pay-per-view. No one buys it because you're the one throwing a monkey wrench in it, you dumb motherfucker. That's what it is. And that's what we're eating right now. And this is how you end up with garbage like this. This is a fight that should not be happening. And as much as I love the two guys, it's like, nah, you should be fighting different people. If George were jumping the line to get into the welterweight title shot, I'd be okay with that.
So
I'd be more than fine with that because guess what?
Yeah.
He never lost that belt to fucking begin with.
They did it with Dominic Cruz, remember? They jumped him right when he came back. So it's fine.
not exactly. He had to fight Mizugaki on his comeback. He fought Mizugaki on his comeback, and then he ended up fighting for the title. And I had no qualms with that. If had he come back and fought
even had John Jones fight OSP before going up against his titles. He never lost his title either. That's
well, I mean, his situation was disciplinary. That's a different,
Yeah,
so like
this is kind of unprecedented in the sense that he just comes back from, a self-imposed retirement of sorts, and he just jumps straight into a title picture. I never liked the matchup. I didn't like the supposed story behind it. Like, if it would have been Luke Rockhold, GSP would have never thought to get in the ring and in the octagon with him. No, but it's Michael Bisping, and he's kind of a journeyman, and then a lot of people have beat him. So
I hate the fact that you just said that. No, I wanted to bring that up once Vic was done because I was really excited when he picked Michael Bisping. I hate the fact that everybody has Bisping like the weakest link out of all the UFC champions. That's really messed up, dude. Michael Bisping is a veteran.
Well, hold on. Why are you putting this on me? I'm in a sense reporting.
You said it. You just said it.
No. I'm saying what was reported about him. He did not want to get in the octagon.
Come on.
You fucked up.
Who said that he wouldn't have taken Rockhold, but he would take Bisping?
No.
You're saying Bisping is softer, man. Come on.
Dude, I heard this. I'm reporting it. I'm not saying this is my own thought.
Now you heard it. Okay, now you heard it.
Play back the tape. Hold on. This is bullshit.
I heard it from Tito and them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right. That's how motherfuckers get in trouble. This shit like that.
George St. Pierre did not want to get in the octagon, with Luke Rockhold. He said this flat out. Well, not even flat out. It was reported by Dana White, who talks a lot of shit anyway. But
listen, again, like what we go back to that. How does this help? Why would you put this out there? God damn, that's like when he was saying up and down that George doesn't want to come back and George doesn't want to fight. And then we'd have to spend a lot of money to promote him for people to know him again. Like, okay, you're not going to make money off him? Are you not going to make money off him on the back end? Like, again, we're going back to where we started with this whole thing. This is such a fucking mess. And again, two fighters that should rightfully be revered and loved for their tenacity and their ability to fight. And it's like, now they got to fight each other. Like, nah, man, get out of here with that shit.
I think the main event, like I said, should have been Dillashaw. But just to pick one, I already said it. It's Michael Bisping. I think Michael Bisping, first of all, he puts up great fights. I love this guy, man. He's like a bigger Conor McGregor. He's witty. He's very fun to watch in press conferences. He's smart. I love his trash talk. He's funny. And he puts up great fights because he's very offensive. His defense is kind of wary sometimes because he's so offensive, so he can get knocked out. But guys, there's 15 pounds difference between 170 and 185. GSP has been out for 4 years. He hasn't knocked out anybody in 9 years. So you have to really question if he can really lay the punch on Michael Bisping. On the other hand, GSP has gotten touched and is able to get hit. He's just he's able to withstand it. But if you remember his last fight with Johnny Hendricks was able to land some bombs on him a couple of times. He got back up, but at 185 with Michael Bisping, the way that Michael Bisping, ironically enough, in my opinion, is in his best, like the best I've ever seen out of Bisping, regardless that he's older. I think Bisping can end this fight, and I'm very sorry for GSP. Like, he's a stand-up guy and probably one of the best champions ever, but he's not a middleweight. He's not a middleweight, and he doesn't deserve to be the middleweight champion. Michael Bisping, hate him or love him, say he's soft or not, whatever. Not just you, Jay. People say he's a weak link. The guy has battled.
Are you serious, bro?
For years.
When did I say it was soft?
Jay, he called you a hater. He said you put on face paint and call yourself the ultimate hater and put on Ultimate Warriors music. That's some real shit. You just said that shit. You hear that? That's some terrible shit.
Jay, why you hate Michael Bisping, though? What's your problem, dude?
Let me loosen up my Ultimate Warrior tassels right quick.
Yeah.
What in the hell did you hear? Listen, I hate this fight because what the hell does it mean going forward? Like, okay, so George St. Pierre wins. Any other, and absolutely any other middleweight will destroy him, Bisping or otherwise. Michael Bisping wins. So, then he moves on to fight who he should have fought in the first place?
Whitaker, yeah.
I mean, this is it's
No, I
wow.
guess he wanted to stay active, I suppose, and the fight just sort of fell into their laps.
Is it
Well,
it's the payday. It's like nothing else.
wait, Dana wanted to make this more about GSP than Michael Bisping. You gotta like Michael Bisping said it himself. He's like, if I was the UFC president, I would want GSP to win because he's the more marketable guy. Like I'm aware of that. So,
I have to disagree greatly with that because you have to look at how much they trashed George and how badly they didn't want this to happen. You know, again, like I just said, all the stuff that George doesn't want to fight and we're going to spend too much money, all that shit. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that they really wanted it to happen, but, you know, this is the only way they could get George in. And, you know, Bisping was probably down and they figured they'd make a ton of money off it. I don't know. It just,
Yeah, but that
there's
was
so
back-
many steps. And
So it was
making
back
this-
when GSP was retiring. Now the UFC needs a face. GSP was a pay-per-view magnet back in his day. John Jones is off somewhere doing some shit. You know, Conor McGregor never fights. So you need to bring somebody in. And now that he's coming in and in Madison Square Garden, I'm sure Dana White ain't complaining.
Probably. I don't know.
Anyway,
know.
so that's it. So anyway, I got Michael Bisping. I think he's going to do it. So I'd be surprised if GSP wins as much respect that he deserves. So it is what it is. I don't know if you guys have any final comments before we close it out because that pretty much sums up UFC 217.
So
Yeah,
this
actually,
this is the
okay.
story. Sorry, Vic, I don't want to
No, that's right.
speak over you, but here's the story as it was reported, the way that I understood it. They were asked, "What's going on with GSP? When is he coming back?" And Dana White responds, "I'm not sure, but he won't come back unless he finds a fight that he thinks he can win. He's not coming back from 4 years off to lose." So the prospect of him coming back for a title and winning was to come back and fight Bisping, and that's the fight that he took. That weak bitch coward. I'm also going with Michael Bisping, and I've always hated Bisping. By the way, sorry.
Oh, so now you're going with Bisping. Okay.
I
Nice.
never picked GSP. I always hated GSP. He kept my man Josh Koscheck down for way too long.
You see how we changed his mind, Vic? You see how we made him change his mind?
That's
He probably
the power,
could've voted
yeah.
GSP.
It's the power of positivity, fam. That's what's real.
Power suggestion, man.
Power suggestion. Power suggestion is very real. By the way, we need to talk about that off air. That's I'm amazed at that, but that's just one of my personal things. Oh boy.
All right, so who you got in this fight, Vic?
Yeah, I got Bisping. I mean, you know,
Sweeping.
whatever.
All right, so Victor, where can people read your stuff? Where can they follow you? Tell me more about this Bodega Superstar.
Oh boy, yeah. So I am a writer at bloodyelbow.com, of course. You can find me on Twitter at Vic M. Rodriguez. Once again, VICM Rodriguez. If you don't know how to spell Rodriguez, goddamn Google it or smack yourself in the back of the head. Other than that, basically, Bodega Superstar is my podcast, available on iTunes. I just uploaded an episode where I had an awesome chat with former UFC fighter Julie Kedzie, catching up with her and talking about her upbringing. Not really so much talking about fighting, but her journey through martial arts and what she's doing now. So that was really awesome, and I'm really grateful she was able to join. Other than that, man, you know, I'm just trying to get paid. You know what it is. Just going to be doing some stuff. Hopefully, I'll probably just let the cat out of the bag. Combate Americas is going to be happening next week. Copa Combate, the one-night, 8-man tournament. I'm hoping to do some work covering that. So that should be fun, man. Should be really good.
All right, fantastic goals. And as long as we're talking fighting, you can catch Paki as the voice of Combate Urbano Libre. He's Mr. Cool. So check that out when you get a chance. And me, I just like watching main event fights.
Yeah, man. KUL is kicking off, man, here in the Dominican Republic. Last event was awesome. I had a great time commentating on it. So check it out. The event's probably going to be on YouTube probably by the end of the week.
Nice.
I'll be sure to send it to you guys so you can check out the Dominican town. It's looking good.
All right, and that's going to be all she wrote. The Houston Astros are the new champions of Major League Baseball. I'm about done with this drink. Thank you, Vic, for joining us. if you have time, dude, feel free to jump in next week and we'll talk post fights and what the direction the UFC should go in after all these fights are settled. Dude, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to the fans of the Unofficial Commentators. Listen to this episode. We're going to put it on YouTube. It'll be on SoundCloud. You can follow Unofficial Commentators on Instagram at Unofficial Commentators, at UC_podcast for the Twitter. Unofficial Commentators on Facebook. That's where I'll be posting the links so that you can jump into the UFC Pick'em. And that's going to be that until next week. If that's all you guys got to say, then forever hold your peace.
Adios.
Oi.